We're gonna talk about another anime this day. You want to introduce us since you're the one that recommended it to us?
Oh yeah, sure. Okay, so Kids on the Slope is a cool slice of life slice
Mm-hmm.
anime. It's about like jazz, and it's about kids, growing up. They were kids on the slope. That's one of their, I guess, childhood things or adulthood things is they go to the slope. You ever had that place that's just like, oh yeah, let's just meet up at the caboose, or let's just meet up at the cul-de-sac. I don't know, cul-de-sac. It's, you know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying though.
Yeah, I would definitely
but
agree. It's I'd say that I would definitely add coming of age to the
so
genre, as far as with the slice of life, which this pretty there's a pretty good correlations. Usually you'll find both of those fit together, but and to I really like the name. I thought it was clever because I think we'll spoil a little more than we did last time, but not too much.
yeah, that'll
Nothing
be
major. I think the title really fits with the overall theme of well, first off, again without spoiling, it's commented on the first episode, the whole slope and why it's called Kids on the Slope. It has to do more or less with well, it has a little time with him climbing up a slope to get to school, and he hates it. But in my opinion, I really like the name of the anime because it kind of fits with, and this is probably what I'll be talking about the most, the overall um, message and that the anime tries to tell, and that's kind of like the uphill and downhill climb throughout life, both the goods and bad.
I didn't even think about that when like saw the name. That
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to keep myself from like, like screaming on the mic, be like, "Whoa!" I didn't even think, but I was like, "Yeah, that makes so much sense." Like kids on the slope, they
Mm-hmm.
going up and down the slope of life.
Yeah, no.
So that's awesome that you caught it.
Mm-hmm. And that to me, that's the biggest, most awesome thing about this anime. It really, we'll talk more about this in a minute, but it really delves super wisely into, I'd say definitely Japanese youth, but just youth and misadventures and sorrows and just pure kind of fun that all developed. I'll definitely go ahead and say this.
Oh,
It's probably
can
one of my favorites.
I? I love this. This probably is one of I say it's definitely up there for me as far as like slice of life. One thing I did want to mention though, just in case, you know, have you ever, Samurai Champloo and Cowboy Bebop?
I do know both of them. They're on my list to watch, but I have yet to watch them.
Same. I only watched like a couple episodes of each one. I have a friend that's really into it. He's been trying to
Mm-hmm.
get me on that for a while, but it's hard for me to go to the old stuff. But
Yeah.
actually, the guy who made that anime, those two animes, the director of those two animes, that's
Mm-hmm.
this guy. That's the guy who did this one.
Okay. Yeah. I know. I looked up the studio and a few other things about the anime. Um, I know the studio that made it. If I can pull it back up, I think it was Tezuka Productions. I know they recently they made Dororo, and I really enjoyed that. If people haven't seen it, it's a remake of a super old anime. I mean, like super old, like 60s, I believe. But it's a really good story, and the remake was really well done. I'm not gonna. I guess I didn't know much about the studio other than Dororo and obviously Kids on the Slope, but they seem to be a pretty decent studio, so that's cool and all.
What did you think of the animation at first?
Yeah. Okay. I don't think it's anything like mind blowing, or you're not gonna, it's not like they threw their whole entire wallet into the animation. But that being said, it is a slice of life, and I thought for it being a slice of life and not this spectacle, it was really well done. Would I write home about the animation? Probably not, but there were some very pretty scenes.
As far as me with the animation, I felt like it was I felt like, yeah, like you said, it felt kind of cheap in a way.
Hmm.
and I just but I felt like the musician scenes were like exemplary as far as like especially like with the accuracy of them actually hitting the right parts.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you hit the tom, it's gonna sound like a tom. It's not him just doing some random loop drum
Mm-hmm.
animation and everything is playing.
Oh yes, no, definitely the use of CGI also, um, when like they were playing instruments, it was actually really well done. I'll say that. I uh, I thought it was kind of cool. Like usually you don't like CGI too much, but they used it to. I'm assuming they motion captured a real musician playing it live. What the anime characters are doing on screen as they're playing is exactly in sync with the music. Like you said, they're playing the right keys on the piano, and I thought that was pretty awesome.
All right, you got any questions or a topic?
Yeah, no, definitely like this being anime about growing up, but also jazz as a background. I really did find as somebody that does I won't say I specialize in jazz, but I do play it. I've done enough of it. I really thought
Yeah,
the selections of music and also kind of how it went about with just some like jam sessions or not was really well done. Not to spoil too much, like I said, but it takes place in the late '60s, and so it's really as far as like history buffs and people that like that kind of thing, it's actually very well. This some minor. I don't know much about the '60s. I'm not that old, but there were to me is and from my knowledge, it seemed very accurate, both for the time setting, but also for the um the music chosen and how they performed it, and I thought that was really cool and really smart of both the manga artist and the studio to fully comprehend.
sure enough.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I like the soundtrack too. I honestly feel like I kind of wish I would have known some of the songs beforehand. Like I didn't see any uh tunes that I like recognized, but
Mm-hmm.
it's still kind of I like that the song you hear in episode one, "Moaning." I tried to learn that a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and it's fun. It's a fun thing about it. Like with us being musicians and watching anime, like we can actually like we actually can relate and we can actually like play the stuff they play or at least try to learn. Like it's hard for me. I'm not no super
Oh yeah.
jazz pianist, but I was a pianist in jazz band. I guess you could say so.
Mm-hmm. I like one of the things I really liked was when the main character has a similarity with me where he has a classical background. And I thought it's pretty cool in one of the scenes where he's trying to learn jazz
Yeah,
and he can't swing. That was that's pretty accurate. I feel
that's
like.
one thing. Like yeah, I came from the classical too, and that's one thing when I went to Colin. Like this one thing our band director tried to drill into us
Mm-hmm.
because we played a lot of swing for our marching band music.
Okay, yeah.
So this it's funny. Like you said, it's something you can really relate to.
Yeah, especially when this is like something my ear caught was when he was like trying to learn swing. Um, he did what a lot of young jazz musicians do, and he just kind of almost syncopated everything, where he's like da 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 da, and it's so much more to swing than just extending the first note. But that's what he was doing, and I thought that was pretty clever. You could tell the people at least the people in the audio department of the anime really knew what they were talking about. Were really wise in putting that together. So I thought that was pretty enjoyable, pretty cool. There's a lot of really cool small details like that in the anime.
So, what do you think about the love drama and all that stuff? Like, do you think it was kind of a little too melodramatic, or do you think it was you think it kind of fit sometimes? Some
There were moments where I was a little like, like what this person loves this person. They also it was a little much, but despite that, looking back on it, I thought it was pretty good. I again not to spoil, but I'll use an abbreviation. There's moments when a character will love one character, but that character will love another, and it kind of makes you annoyed,
yeah.
but in a good way, in a very good way. I
And
just
one,
think the writing was awesome though. You were saying something?
oh yeah, I was just saying, and one character kind of really frustrated me because it seemed like this person like had that sort of thing come out of nowhere almost, and it
Mm-hmm.
just felt like it was almost done in spite. But
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I kind of felt that similar, but to talk about that, to get my point across, I think it's the reality that I really enjoyed because love's not a simple thing. And when you look at that character, like once, because they do that, I think they did that on purpose, because it kind of does feel like it was a swing that came out of nowhere. But then once you really see how much that character really truly did, kind of actually love and cherish the person that they were going after,
and
I did think it made sense.
yeah, and I think that's another thing that anime does good is like it makes things make sense,
Hmm.
like out of the characters' backgrounds and stuff like that, and like you said, like on the back end of what she was going. Oh shoot! I said she, but
I think I did too, but it's okay. There's a lot of female characters. I think we'll be okay.
okay, it's like 1,000, but
All right. Let's not go
but
crazy here. Anyways, I got
but what she like what she was going through it with her background situation, it really kind of contextualized where she was coming from, and it's also like that with our protagonist and even our his buddy.
you. Yeah,
Like
I would say protagonist and secondary protagonist really is what they were.
yeah,
Honestly, okay, so I'd say there's five main. Well, okay, I'd say there's three main characters and then two supporting main cast characters. Is how I'd put it.
I
Um,
see two. I only see two,
Fair enough.
except
Would you?
towards
Is it
maybe
the
the
two
end.
boys or is it the main character and the girl? Who do you think
To
the
the
main
two boys,
two
I
boys?
thought
Okay.
it, honestly thought that like I don't know. I feel like there was more emphasis on that than the
No, I
actual
definitely
like.
agree. I think that was the target of the story. But to continue with the because this really is kind of a romance anime. um,
I really wanted to like see it as a bromance
mhm.
towards the beginning of it though.
When on that first episode, the when they first meet, I thought it was at first I thought this was gonna be a yaoi. I'm not gonna lie.
You
um,
thought it was gonna be what?
a yaoi, which
I
is
don't. I have
do you know what that is or?
nah. I have
So
no
that's
clue.
a yuri is like a love story between two girls. Yaoi's the opposite.
Oh
And so
no.
at first I was like, okay, this is an interesting pick, Michael. I see, but no, it's definitely not. um, it was just funny because you know what I'm talking about when he pulls up the sheet. I was like, okay, but
Oh.
anyways, I'm not going to put any context to that, so our audience can be a little questionable. Anyways, but no, it definitely it definitely was so much more. It was really good. To to continue with my the whole love thing, I think it's one of the best realistic writings of love in anime. And what I mean by that is like the characters evolve and they don't just kind of stagnate. It's not just like, oh, I see this person and well, okay, let me continue this from after I say. So it's not just, oh, I see this person and I love them at first sight. Though there's definitely moments of that.
Yeah.
It expands upon it and it's like, okay, do you really love them, or like, sure, they're blah blah blah, but why? And it like goes into just how amazing that can be, if that makes any sense. And then even then, like, it's like mature because like, sure, like, let's say a character literally like not to spoil it, but there's like, I think there's a moment, if I recall, where it's literally like, oh, I could tell it was love at first sight, blah blah. But then it's like, even though that's kind of true, it's like, but is it double sided? And then even further than that, it's like, okay, but how does that love mature once you actually know that person? That's what I really think the romance in this anime does very well. It seems very, it seems like the author had a, how do I say this? A lot of real world experience with that. and that he could put in his writing. I'm not trying to say he was a player or anything. I'm just saying it seems like he really knew what he was writing, and he did a really
Yeah,
good
I mean,
job
you
with
don't
it.
have to be a player to get your heart broken 10 times or however long.
Yeah, that's true. But anyways, that's my idea. What was your take from that?
Like I said, I thought it was like you said, it's a good, mature, realistic portrayal of love and how like different it is. I like that little what you call it, metaphor. I guess they said like love is like jazz, it's all over the place. Not something
Yeah,
like that, something
yeah,
to that
yeah.
character. But yeah, I just thought it was frustrating at times though. Like I said, I honestly like really rooted for the friendship most of all. Like
Oh yeah.
I don't want I want the love thing to happen, but I want the friendship most of all.
Hmm. Yeah, that was I think even like the anime, I think I would agree with that. You know, like I said, obviously there's romance between characters, and that's kind of a big part of the story. But it's mostly like you know the two main characters really, like you said, it's really about their friendship and how important um youthful and like childhood. Well, I won't say childhood, but you know, like and how important that when you're at the coming of age moment in your life, you know, I'd say that's usually where this takes place near the end of high school, you know, but right before you're about to come to the real world or go to college or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, you know, the friendships you make then are super important because usually they're the only ones that are going to last for the rest of your life, and they're the ones that are going to impact you as a person the most. And so, you know, like I said, that's pretty much when the story takes place near the end of these characters' high school days. And so that friendship is the key of this anime. You know, it's the main focus, and it's really well done. It's not just with best friends bros. I mean, there's actual strife and growth and even some
Yeah,
regression, but moving forward from that, you know, it's really awesome.
most definitely. Like I like that it's like you said, a progression. It doesn't keep going. It's like a character in itself that develops, I would say.
Mm-hmm. You know, definitely like, one of the things I took away from this anime, just in a real world kind of perspective, is sometimes, you know, you had to be like the characters had to be blunt with one another for them to grow, and I think that's a really good thing to kind of take away from viewing this anime as a life lesson. um, oh yeah, I'm such a sage. I learned everything from anime, but you know, what I mean by that is, you know, I think that's all media that you need to take some lessons from. I mean, that's the reason people write
That's
stories. But I think that's the biggest thing from this anime is to sometimes friendship and just relationships can be hard, but you have to be blunt with people at times, not rudely so, but in order for growth to occur. You know, one thing I'm pretty sure I know you want to touch on. So I thought it was pretty cool. This is like one of the very few times, I won't say it's the first time, but one of the very few times I've seen Christianity in an anime. It's not like the focus. Don't get me
yeah.
wrong. This is not like a
It's
Christian anime, but some of the characters are Christian, and you know, I'm actually kind of happy that it's not the focus, but there are just like straight up Christian characters, and it's like talked about and just and mentioned. I think that's kind of cool. You know,
and
I don't want to be the guy that like takes over a culture and says like, oh, blah blah blah. That's why I was happy it was mostly just a mention. But it's kind of cool to see it in
yeah.
an anime for once. Like I said, I don't want to take over a culture. I know Christianity isn't the grounded religion in Japan, but regardless, I thought it's interesting to see that. Um, what are your
I
thoughts?
thought it was a fair portrayal. Like, cause I hate when it's like, okay, it's just like really flying off the handle caricature of a Christian,
Mm-hmm.
or it's like somebody, or I guess if it's just like kind of just the whole story around it is kind of cheap in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it was two characters that were Christian, and that's all that Christianity. You know, it wasn't like oh, there's some righteous or in some unfortunately in some media, and this doesn't even just Christianity, but just all religions. Like they weren't depicted as like jerks or whatever either. It was just they were characters first, and they were Christians on top of that, and that's all it was. And that was like I said, it's really cool to see because it wasn't like trying to put it down your throat. It wasn't doing anything. It was just kind of, it was just
Yeah.
nice and enjoyable to see in media.
I did. Now I ain't gonna mention it. I ain't gonna spoil it here, but
Yeah.
I thought the ending part was kind of ironic.
Yeah, that was. I agree. Uh, that was nice though. I will say briefly, the anime, the ending is nice, but it did leave some questions. So I did some research, and the manga actually continues past where the anime stopped. Not much further. There's like a few. Basically, it's just a few chapters that kind of add more closure. So I will say this to people that gets to the ending. It's which I mean again, it's really good. But if you have any questions, I would direct you towards the manga, the last few chapters, or all of it, because it's wonderful. Um, it's a very happy ending. I don't think that's a spoiler, especially when you get towards the last few episodes. You kind of need to know that. But it's a very happy ending, and I thought it was awesome.
I need to read it myself, to be honest.
Hmm. There were times when there were times when when a happy simple ending is nice, and that's all I'm gonna. I won't even say it was simple or like cliche. It was just a nice ending, and I did appreciate that. I thought that was a good way to end the story.
They stuck the landing, so to speak.
Hmm. Now I will say on the more negative, and there's not many. Um, so when it comes to anime, usually my biggest focuses are animation quality. Um, and that's kind of on the bottom. I mean, it's still important, but like this is the top three things. On the bottom is animation quality. I want to see pretty anime, but I can look past that. The second one is like characters, and then above all, it's like story, right?
Hmm.
Um, there's one story issue I had. Um, and like I said, I'm gonna keep the spoiler free, but I didn't like how the best friend. I didn't like his how his story arc progressed for like the second to last episode. I thought it was a little like a little unnatural. Like I understood the point and why it happened, but I feel like it was just a little too quick. If that makes any
Yeah,
sense. That's my only big issue with the anime. Is there's one story, yeah, like near the second last episode. There's with the second main character's story arc. I was like, it just kind of felt forced. I don't
yeah,
think he would have done that if it wasn't for the author trying to progress the story. But it's such a minor issue, and it's resolved in the end that I won't say it's really too much of a negative. It's just I would say that it's there so that
yeah.
people know.
That's why I mentioned like stuck the landing, because I honestly was like afraid, like, is the ending gonna like ruin this anime?
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. That's what I was wondering. The last episode is a roller coaster. But in a good way. I will say that. Like when you're watching it, yeah, it's like, is this gonna stick the landing or? But it does. It does. It definitely does. And plus, like those previous 11 episodes are worth it regardless. Even if the ending was bad, I just skip it. Read the manga.
Just make a fan made
But
ending.
no, but it is worth it. I watched the last episode. It's good. um, I guess to kind of talk about characters a little bit. Um, and then we might get a little more spoilery here. Spoilery, whatever the word
Spoiler
is.
season.
So if you don't want that, stop watching. But I'm not I'm not gonna spoil any like major plot things. I just want to talk about some of the characters, why I enjoyed them, and why that would make me recommend this anime. Um, who do you want to start with? What do you think?
um, Off the top, I can say the pro tag. This is what I'm thinking of.
Hmm. To me, I like him because classical music bros. But
Yeah.
no, I'm playing. I like it. One thing. Okay, I'm gonna give one scene. Also, and I don't even think this is a big spoiler, but there's one reason why I love this main character. There's one scene where he's talking to someone, and he's like, I might not be the strongest, I might not be the most manly, blah blah blah, but I'm me. And to me that's a really cool thing, because being a quote unquote man or adult to me is less to do with age and physical characteristics and more to do with the mindset and maturity of an individual. And so I thought that was like a coming of age story. I thought that was like the peak and one of the hugest growth of his character was kind of overcoming this jealousy he has of what he thought was, a man's man. I'm exaggerating this a little bit, and
Yeah,
coming in terms with himself and kind of accepting himself a little bit. I thought that was like the one scene that really made me love that character.
for sure. Like I said, you basically took the words right out of my mouth.
Hmm.
Like I said, I do kind of, relate to that classical background or whatever. I kind of related to like that kind of neurotic kind of way he kind of dealt with things, I guess, and how
Hmm.
he was just kind of like in his head a good bit, like especially during that first episode. I know a lot
Hmm.
like that, and like he was some shoot. I think you pretty much just hit the nail on the head though.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, exactly why we love that. Yeah, I think if anything, why you would love that character, because he's real. He has flaws. Like I said, that last episode, I was like, no. But like I said, happy ending. He was such a real character, and he had such awesome growth. I guess moving on to the second main character.
can I handle this one? Can I handle this one?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
All right, I sound like a kid. Can I do it? Can I do it? Okay, so Simbo, I think that's what his nickname was. I feel like he was like you kind of think he's gonna be like some like airhead jerk or something like that, or
Hmm.
jock or whatever you want to say. But you find like he loves this jazz music. He actually is a good person. He helps people and stuff like that. And kind of comes off like a manly man. And I imagine like some people like in real life you would either hate to love him or love to hate him or something like that. And so but I really enjoy his character. Like as the series progressed, I'm like, this dude is a bro. Like this is best friend material right here.
Hmm.
Like don't mess this. Or like don't mess this up. Whatever the protagonist. Forgot the protagonist's name, but yeah, that's how I kind of felt about it.
I'll definitely say, I definitely agree with the broness of this character. I know that sounds funny, but it's kind of true.
Yeah,
He's kind of
not the
like,
bro, not a bad bro, but
yeah.
like
Well, to put in perspective, he's kind of like that. He's that kind of misinterpreted character where everyone thinks he's like a brute, but he's really not. And which we've seen in media before, but I thought the kind of the this take on it was really awesome, because usually how they portray that character is, oh, everyone thinks he's a brute, but in reality he's like this loving guy. No, this guy's actually pretty flawed.
yeah,
Centauro, or how you say it, Centauru, he's
hmm
definitely not like the most outstanding youthful citizen, but that's kind of why I love him, because he has a reason for everything he does.
yeah,
He's very fleshed out, and most importantly, he's a really good contrast for the main character. He really that's why I think they're such a good dual cast, if that makes any sense, because
yeah,
they both start off on such major ends of the spectrum, and they help each other develop into like actually like really good young adults. So I love this character. I loved him. He was so awesome to just see him, because he was like I said, he was almost a the opposite of the main character, but in a good way, in a way that helped him grow, and such a well written, and I enjoyed it. You want to? I guess I'll talk about. I guess we'll finish up the boys. um, Junichi, Brother June.
brother.
Um,
Okay, yeah, he's kind of a interesting. I guess I couldn't quite put my finger on him when I watched it. I probably should have tried to watch this twice, but I was like, I could like handle it emotionally, I guess you could say. But
yeah.
like I feel like his character was feel like his had so much like history stuff going on. I felt like I needed to kind of like brush up on like what exactly was like going on during that time
Mm-hmm.
to
Oh,
kind
it
of
was.
understand.
I'll say really quickly. I thought that was awesome, because in my opinion, uh, him being more of a supporting character, I thought it was really cool that they actually took and did that history very well, because that all happened. I think with, like, for instance, without spoiling too much of what he is and his history, there's like a scene where how do I say this without spoiling too much? There's a boat trying to come in Japan. That's all I'm gonna say. and I actually looked that up to see what that event was, and that was a real thing that happened, and it was kind of cool to see the writing behind that. Anyways, you were saying?
Uh, yeah, I don't. It's hard to really, like I said, put my finger on it. At first, he's another one of those characters that kind of like you'll kind of think this way about him, and then you kind of see more once you contextualize them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's pretty much all I got really to say about him.
I'll say I think the reason I liked him as a character, because I think he can be a little, I think he's definitely charismatic, so people would like him. But there's like a part of him that people are probably not gonna like, and I could see him actually being an unliked character almost. But the
Yeah,
reason I think I liked him so much is because I thought his fall and right, like I said, his kids on the slope, his falls and rises were really well done, especially if you look at like Japanese society. I'm not an expert or anything, but you know, failing like academically can be a really horrible thing, especially over there. You know, you're supposed
yeah,
to work very hard. They're a very hardworking society, and so there's to give a minor spoiler, he ends up having to drop out of college, right? And I'm not gonna say why or how, or whatever, but it's like there's a huge like regression of his character as a like mature individual, and I think that was really pretty narratively, because again, this anime doesn't just tackle the goods of life. It's also not just a depressing mess like some animes try to be.
yeah,
It was very humble and very modest and well and what's the word, very wise in its portrayal of characters. I think that's why I really liked both the Junichi, who apparently shares the same name with his voice actor. I just noticed.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't even. I never
Not
heard
the
of that.
same. Like they both had Junichi, which I find
Oh,
interesting. But anyways, uh, I think before we get to we try, I would say we're trying to the last kind of main character. We'll talk about is it Ikari or Eureka?
Yukiri. I don't know what else.
Something like that. I can't remember it off the top of my head. Base Fukuhori was her last name, so anyways, I'll just call it Fuka because I can't. This is the Persona 3 that I've just been playing coming out. I think she's my least favorite character, but
Yeah,
I think that's what she was meant to be, actually. So that being said, they did the job well. Did I hate her a little bit going through the story? But actually, by the end of the story, I understood everything she did, and I do think she was well written. Like I said, is she kind of a hate? When I say hate, I don't literally mean like it's not bad. It just
yeah,
she does some things that you're not gonna like, but I do think she's a good character at the end. I think she did her. I think her role in the story is really well. I definitely have the least amount of talks about her, but I think for what she was for the story and for the plot, really well and a very good character. Just again, you might not like her.
yeah, yeah. That's pretty much all I got to say about it.
About Fukuhori or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I like to say she just kind of filled the role, like you said.
Well, I think there's more to it, but yeah, it's just hard. It's really hard to like because of her role. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
I know. Before we even get to the other girl, you
hmm
remember do you remember the rock guy? Basically, I can't
oh,
remember his name.
Seiji or CG or whatever.
What did you think about him?
um, I think he was definitely a comedy relief character more than anything, which isn't bad. Um, I was just kind of on the line with him. Like I understood his kind of point of the story, and I knew he was fun. I'll say that. I think that's the best way to put it. He was a fun character, but he wasn't like anything innovative or outstanding to me, at least.
I
What?
think he further like I mean I know it wasn't like a big part of like you said a big part of the story, but like he further it like enforced that kind of my impression from the anime about like having these characters with these motivations and then kind of like like having to like going back and telling how they're established or whatever, telling how like why they're doing this and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. And I thought it was kind of like, even though it was for like a brief episode or brief part of the episode or whatever, I
Mm-hmm.
think it was just kind of interesting to see like how that relates to Simbo doing what he did.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they kind of created the conflict, but
Mm-hmm. You know, without spoiling anything, I thought it was funny that they actually achieved it. He actually did what he said. You know what I'm talking about? I don't think
what'd
that's
you
a.
say?
I
Oh yeah,
said
yeah,
I
yeah.
thought that's pretty funny. That was pretty. That's
He
pretty
was the
cool.
true shonen
He
protagonist.
was the true shonen protagonist. He's the real main character, people. But no, I agree. Like I said, not too much to talk about his character. He's definitely a supporting side character, but he was fun. He was kind of, what's the word, flamboyant, but I kind of love that because he's a good contrast to the main characters.
Yeah.
I did like the Ritsuko. Yeah, I think that's how you say it. Ritsuko. That's who we're gonna talk about. We'll talk about her in a second. She's the final. I would say she is the main character. She's the final main character. I did like her
Yeah.
father though. I thought he was a pretty cool character. You know, he wasn't like a stereotypical anime fathered adult person where it's like I'm the source of wisdom. Come talk to me. He also wasn't the other stereotype where it's like I'm an adult, so I'm bad. He was kind of there, and he was just
He was just chilling in the cut.
he must have chilled. But you know, the few scenes he has, I thought he was pretty cool. So I'll give credit where credit's due. I did like his supporting role in the story. Okay. Um, so the reason I actually I'm happy we saved it for last because I want to say this. The reason I think she is actually such a super well written character. One, she's not just a female. Which, you know, what do I mean by that? She's not just there to be the main character or some character's love interest. It's more. Oh, okay, no spoilers, but that's definitely that's kind of what I kind of just said is hypocritical. But hear me out. She's not.
Okay.
That's not her only role. That's not just what she's there for. She's actually really well written. She's just she's super integral to the growth of the other two main characters. If she wasn't there, I feel like the story would be missing out. The reason I
Right.
really enjoyed her, if she wasn't there, I don't think the story would have been nearly. I don't think it would have revolved as it did, or would have progressed as it did. I think she is super integral, and I think she's
That's
well written.
that's how I feel. Like, I mean, like I said with that other character, like I feel like each character is like each other's puzzle piece for like the story going on and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, she does play a big role. She's and like eventually, like I didn't. It took me. I didn't realize she was gonna like do the thing she did at the end. Like I didn't know they was setting her up to kind of be sing. I guess
Oh, what?
to I didn't like singing and stuff like that. Like
Oh, yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
didn't realize she could like. Did she sing earlier in the episodes? Because like I didn't remember like her like mentioning
I
it
don't
and
think
like singing.
so. I didn't think so, but I thought that was clever. But you were saying though on that?
But I mean that's pretty much. I guess that's when I feel like she made like towards the end anyway. Like is when she kind of became more integral as a character, but like and being
Mm-hmm.
less of a how you say thing that just progresses the characters. But
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they kind of I don't know. I feel like
Well,
that whole like
you know,
situation.
I think the reason she's so important is because she kind of creates some drama between the three main characters, with not like intentionally. It's because of, well, not spoiling things because of the main character, but
Yeah.
you know, but that drama that she creates between them actually, like I said, is the reason why they all grow. For example, one of the best scenes in the anime that I'll lightly spoil is when the main character learns about the other boy main character. They learn about one another's past, and it's like they realize they go from being choose like seeing each other as two like completely slices of the universe, aka like one being on this end of the spectrum, one being on that end of the spectrum, as far as like wealth and societal like differences. So realizing
Yeah.
that they're really the same like not same person, but they're going through just the same things. You know, the same
Yeah.
struggles, the same, um, just all of it. And that like if she wasn't in the story for them to uh, kind of I guess get in
Relate.
relate, but also to kind of make that natural. That's the thing,
Yeah.
natural drama between them. That's why I like her so much. She made the story natural. Um, that would have never happened, or at least again, it wouldn't have felt natural. That's why I really like her as a character. One, she's also just a good character, well written. So, anyways, that's my whole thing on the characters and stuff. Basically what I'm saying is watch this anime because the character's great.
Well, one other thing I think we haven't hit. I just thought it was a brief moment, but like, what did you think about that kind of racist scene?
Yeah, okay, yeah, I almost forgot about that. I did want to talk about that. I thought, obviously, like, this anime came out in 2012, so obviously it's not anything super progressive, but, looking at the state of the world, and we're going to leave it at that because I don't want to get into that, I thought that was really cool, especially with, that scene meant so much more. Sure, it was like, you know, just give a light spoiler, sure, it was like a shame on you for like the stereotyping against African Americans or just black people in general. Sure, it was like a slap on the wrist to people that do that.
Yeah.
There's that, but it's also like the
Hey, racist, heck you.
yeah, it was that, which is good, but it was also a slap on the wrist to like the any kind of strife between Asian, specifically Japanese versus white or just anything like that. And like this does take place in the 60s, so it's only been 20 years since World War II. So there's definitely I understood why it was in the anime.
Yeah.
It was for continuity, but it was really
I think it was handled well.
yeah, I think it was handled very well. I mean, especially since it wasn't cheesy. It was like there's a racist character, so there's like, oh, we're gonna show him. It was like, no, we're not gonna let him bring us down, and instead we're going to they almost not gave him what he wanted, but they fulfilled his request in a way that kind of one upped him. Where it's like he didn't truly get what he wanted. Instead, they were kind of like, if we're gonna prove you wrong by doing almost what you want. If that makes any sense. I don't want to spoil anything, so I can't say much more.
I can't tell what the I don't know if I remember him singing a song or whatever. I can't tell how that relates to that dichotomy he tried to produce. But
Mm-hmm.
the doggone
Well,
oh
okay.
yeah, the way the three characters respond, I think I don't know. I think that kind of shows with like the protagonist. He's like, why don't we just if we just do his request or whatever. And then you got Simbo, he gets angry,
Mm-hmm.
and then you got brother June. I guess you could say he's kind of like older and a little bit more like smoother with situations like this. So
Mm-hmm.
he actually comes up with a solution that keeps them playing.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely, and I think that was a really good take on it. Like I said, I don't want to go too much into racism and social stuff in this stream. That's for another time and place. But I did think that was really well handled, and I really respected the kind of, like you said, the mature take on that, and also just the difference in characters and how they perceived it. I thought that was really kind of cool for characterization. Yeah. Now, I think that pretty much summarizes everything I want to talk about. If I had to rate the anime, be a little harsh on it. I would say an 8.5 out of 10, which, with me being kind of harsh on it because of, like I said, some story issues I had, and how, like I said, the characters are great, but there were a few ones that I was like, whatever. I do think it's, like, a really good watch. I would definitely say it's a recommend. Like, I won't quite say it's like a must watch, but it's definitely a huge recommendation. If you haven't seen it, I would. It's only 12 episodes. It's a quick one to watch. I would say go ahead and do it.
I say it's a must watch if you're a musician or like
Oh yeah,
adolescent musician.
Okay, yeah. Sure. In the viewpoint of a musician, especially adolescents, yeah, definitely. Like it's like Yellow in April. If you're a musician, go watch it. But I don't want to praise it too much because, like I said, it's not perfect. But it is good, and I definitely say if you have the time, give it a look if you're interested in music and slice of life type stuff.
That's what's up.
Gotcha. So you want to discuss a second about what we might want to look at next time or anything like that?
Yeah, we can. Since I picked this time, it's your turn.
I don't have anything off the top of my head. We could I did say that Sing of Yesterday, but maybe wait off on that one because it's kind of similar to this one. I don't have anything off the top of my head, but I'll come up with something and we'll message each other back about it and we'll figure it out. But no, I definitely look forward to next week. I think I have a few in mind, but we'll get to that. Did you say your rating?
What you say?
Nah, go finish your.
I think anything as far as like the way this is going. I think anything. It doesn't have to. Like I would love if we could find something like action and comedy oriented, but still like something that's like rich in character and like and kind of short, like 12 episodes or a movie. Oh, my phone fell.
yeah. No, I think that's definitely what I want to look towards. Just like shorter, but more. I don't want to like watch a shonen because.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to look at more like not shorter, but like compacted and well done animes that people wouldn't. Like we could come in here and talk about Naruto.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, everyone's seen Naruto. Everyone has their opinion on Naruto. But,
I honestly haven't watched it all the way through. I only got most of my story from the game. But I could have
that's okay.
I could fathom, like, huh?
So that's kind of okay. I'll say this, Naruto was really good. It had an ending. But I definitely think it's better than people will give it credit for, but it's also not as good as some of the super fans give it credit for. But anyways, that's my point. That's my opinion on that.
You about to get them DMs now?
Yeah, I'm about to get them DMs. No, like I said, it's good. I definitely think it's better than Dragon Ball. I would even argue it can be better than Now I'm about to get DMs because now I'm about to make people mad. I definitely think it's like almost early Naruto. Like if you take out some of the worst parts of Naruto, I would say it's actually a super good anime and manga. It's just there's some really horrible parts, and that's all I'm gonna say before people come and kill me.
But, I want to hop on the doggone. You know what? I want to hop on the doggone One Piece bandwagon, but it's just too much.
Okay, I can appreciate it. I haven't watched it all the way through, but like from what I see, because I'll watch some videos on it just because it's such a behemoth and such a big part of the anime world. It's definitely like a super good. And I mean, there's no doubt about it. It's super good. The world building is almost like untouchable by anything, almost. And then like the political mystery drama, blah blah blah, that it really kind of is just as insanely well written as well. The only issue is I can't recommend it to people because I can't even get through it because it's so freaking long. It's so good. Anyone here that's a One Piece fan, good on you. I mean, it's awesome. Don't get me wrong. I love it. But it's just too long. It's too freaking long. Okay. But no, I agree. Before we make the rest of the shonen anime community hate us, we might want to stop there.
Okay. Yeah. So I hope y'all enjoyed this shonen hating fest. But I hope y'all enjoyed this conversation about Kids on the Slope. Really dope anime, really worth your time.
12 episodes. Yeah, you can finish in a day.
And I hope y'all have a blessed day. Y'all take care now.
All right, y'all have a good one.